Hey, everybody, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, welcome. We are letting everybody in, and we'll get started here in about 2 minutes. We'll say 2 minutes before we get going.
Okay.
In the chat, real quick, while we're waiting, let me know, like, where's everybody calling in from?
We're basically all in the Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
area.
all of us are
Oh,
together.
awesome.
Suburbs.
Okay.
We're a group of local designers.
Holy moly. Wow, good. Good for you guys. I thought that was the case when I talked to Kira, and I just thought maybe there'd be some others. No big deal. I love it. All right. Well, we're going to get started here in just a minute. The Just so everybody knows, the presentation that I'm going to bring you through today is all based around our brand framework. And I don't know how much of discussions you've had with Kira and her experience and going through our program. But it's all set up and we'll get into way more detail. It's all set up to help you better position yourself in, a very crowded marketplace, better articulate your niche, and hopefully get more customers and be able to charge more for your services. Does that all make sense? Everybody feel like they're in the right place?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, cool. All right. As more people continue to come in, let's just give it one more minute. While we do that, I'm going to share my screen and make sure we're all set up and ready to go. Okay. Now everybody should be able to see my screen. Give me a quick thumbs up if you can see it. Very good. All right. Okay. I think everybody is here. If there are a few more people coming in, Taylor on the Wit and Craft team is going to keep an eye out and let them in. But we're going to get started. So on the agenda today, I mean, I've got about 45 minutes of presentation material to take you guys through. It's pretty robust, but I want to leave about 15 minutes at the end. If I can get through it a little bit quicker, maybe we'll leave a little bit more time for some question and answer at the end. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah. Yes. Sure.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, I'm calling this presentation Differentiate or Die, and I'll get into what that means here in a minute. But at a very, very high level, it's taking small businesses and understanding that we have to stand out now more than ever before in our respective marketplaces. So through this presentation, we're going to show you how to stand out, show you how to stop competing on price, and become the go-to expert within your market, within your niche, all of that stuff. Sound good?
Excellent.
Excellent. More specifically, brand positioning is what we're going to be talking about today. So, number one on the agenda here is, why is brand positioning the missing growth lever in your business and really in all small businesses right now? I'm going to show you like why most branding advice is pretty wrong and can lead you astray or give you some false hope. And then I'm going to show you how our system, our framework works methodically to help you develop your own brand position. And by doing so, it's going to give you the clarity that you need to unlock the missing leverage that's in your business right now. And then we'll follow up with real proof from founders and business leaders that are really just like you, and show you kind of how it's worked for them. I have one more not so hidden agenda. I just like to bring this up right at the beginning of all of these calls, which is if you are interested in furthering the conversation, I'll put up a QR code and we'll have a link to my booking calendar. And if you want to further the conversation, explore what the Brand Lab could do for you and your business, I'll show you exactly how to do that. Does that sound fair to everybody?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into it. If these things sound familiar to you, you're probably in the right place. So you've mastered your craft, but you haven't quite been able to get that messaging to connect with folks yet. You might be tired of being the best kept secret. You know your work is really good. You have the portfolio to back it up, but nobody seems to know about you, or you're lacking leads at the moment. The other thing is other people are doing this. Other people are charging premium prices. Other people are getting the premium clients. And you might be questioning, like, why can't I get the same? And you're ready to invest in strategy now versus guesswork. Probably putting some marketing out there. You're putting social media posts out there. You're not quite sure that it's working. And you know that there could be a better way, or maybe there's a strategy that we can put in place. Does that sound familiar to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay. Not excellent. I don't want to sound like it's a good thing, but that's exactly the problems that we're going to help you solve. A little bit about me before we get too deep into this. I've spent the last 2 decades in branding, working on really big brands all the way down to some local nonprofits. I've got experience, basically everywhere from Ford Motor Company all the way down to single operator type businesses. 10 years of those 2 decades have been here at Witten Craft. Decided to hang a shingle 10 years ago. I'm going on 11 now, almost. And so happy that I did that way back when. Hundreds of brand projects, brand clients throughout that time. And we're on a mission right now to help 10,000 small businesses just like you, get the clarity that they need so that they can grow their business. I think we're at a point in time right now with tools like AI that's going to level the playing field, and it gives everybody the opportunity to put the same strategies that the Fortune 500s have been doing for years and years and years and years. So this is a question for the group. What is a brand? You can put it in the chat. You can, let me see if I can get my chat window up here. Where is that? There it is. Put it in the chat. There's no wrong answer. I just want to get a baseline from you guys. What do you think a brand is? It's a signature. Okay. Denise, thank you. An identity of a person or a business. Yep. Anybody else? There's no wrong answer. Lots of people say, what you do that others don't. Yep. Your differentiators for sure. Yep. The image, message, and marketing efforts of a business. A way for clients, customers to know what to anticipate. It's your values. Yep. Yeah, I think when we look at the word brand, and the reason that I asked this question is because there are so many definitions of what a brand means or could be. If you talk to a brand could be apparel, right? It could be your logo on apparel, and people would call that branding. I like, if I can advance my screen, I like this definition right here. This comes from a guy by the name of Marty Neumeier, who I consider to be the branding GOAT. He's one of my heroes out there. I've read all of his books. He's been around for, well, let's just say longer than me. And he's got some really good thinking about it. But the one thing that's always stuck with me is his definition of what a brand is. A brand is a person's gut feeling about a company, product, or service. And when I think about that, it can be for either good or bad, right? Like you could have a positive brand impression with people. You can have a negative brand impression with people. Even worse, you could have zero perception out there in the marketplace. right? And therefore there's like no feeling about what you're trying to build or you or the work that you're doing and that sort of thing. And when I think about this, it's what how can we direct that? So um there are ways through the process that I'm going to take you through, the framework that I'm going to take you through, that we can sort of establish what a good gut feeling is. And it comes down to making promises and fulfilling promises. It comes down to when somebody hears about us or talk to customers of ours, what are they saying about us that is going to back up some of the core things that we want people to know about us? Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
promise I'll clear it up. How did we get here? April 4th, 2024 was a pretty pivotal moment in our lives, like from a Witten Craft standpoint, because I'd been on a lot of sales calls leading up to this point, and they were all with these really cool niche small businesses, all of which that, like, through a couple of calls, strategy calls, sales calls, have formed like a relationship with the founder. I thought they had really cool products, really cool services. And on April 4th, it was like, this was probably the 12th one in a row. And it was a flooring manufacturer here in Michigan. And we decided that it just didn't make sense for us to work together in the traditional way, for him to hire us as a firm and perform the tasks that we needed to perform in order to get him the clarity that he needs so he could really put his marketing to work for him, generate the leads, the good conversations, get the right people aware that he exists. And what we decided to do, I'm like, look, I've got the framework. I've been working this for many years. And what if I train you on how to do this? That way you get the benefit of it. I'm spending a lot less time actually doing the work. I'm showing you how to do it. I'm guiding you through the way. And at the end of the day, you still get the benefits of going through the positioning exercise. And Reed um he was game. So it was, I started developing curriculum. We'd get on a call. I'd give him a lesson. Um, he would go on and do the work for a week. We'd get back on a call and so on and so forth until he was done. At the end of that, what we created was the Brand Lab. So it's a space that is curriculum based, that shows small businesses exactly how to do this. Because when you can use these same strategies that we've been doing for years in a way that makes sense for you financially, it's going to allow you to grow your business a lot more efficiently than maybe what you have been experiencing up until this point. So there's these silent killers of businesses, silent killers of great businesses, sorry, that we should all be aware of. And these might sound familiar to you too. You know your worth, but the market doesn't recognize your expertise yet. You may have weak marketing that fails to convert despite that expertise. The leads that are coming in might be unqualified, and therefore every phone call that you have is draining your energy and resources. You're underselling your value and settling for rates far below what you know you're worth inside. And, all this leads up to you experiencing some sort of burnout. And you're trying to do more, working on the business, working in the business, instead of saying, these messages a little bit clearer, saying it better, and then charging accordingly. Whoop, got ahead of myself there. These are all symptoms of the big problem that exists out there. And I don't care what size business you are. You could have 1,000 people working in your business. It could just be you as a solopreneur. But the big problem is there's this crowded market that's getting more crowded, more confusing every single day. When people realize or they become problem aware of the things that you can do for them or the problems that you can solve for them, they start to search, and what's happening right now is everybody sounds exactly the same. We're all saying the same things. AI is making it even worse. It's compounding the problem. And there's mass confusion about who is going to be the right partner for me for my design project right now. And so, oftentimes people give up. They choose the loudest, person in the room. So the one that pops up on top of their Google search, or they consult with AI, and whoever comes up first on AI is, probably going to be the one to win the business. But we think that there's a better way. Oh, sorry, I should mention this too. On top of that, we are living in this attention deficit economy, um, where there's so much vying for our attention, and at the at the development of this, God, every time I give this presentation, I kill myself because it's worse now, But at the writing of this presentation, these are my stats. I had 37 browser tabs open, 23 streaming services, 10 social media accounts, 1,200 unread text messages, 53 podcasts that I like to listen to, close to 15,000 more now, unread emails, 154 YouTube subscriptions, and I've got the one phone in my pocket, the super cute computer in my pocket that's chiming me, reminding me, buzzing at me every minute of every day when there's an update to all of these things. And so not only am I confused by the market that's out there, but I also have all of these interruptions that's taking me away from what really matters, and that's solving the problem at hand or finding the right partner to help me with my design project. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All that leads up to is this, which, is pretty extreme, but like this need for us to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. And if we don't, our businesses are going to suffer. But we need to get noticed, not only by, not just by, people, but it's the people that matter, the people that matter to us, the people that we can help or service the best. And we have to be able to get clarity there and identify who those people are. In the past, you could do one of two things, and this is the recent past. You could hire a big agency or a bigger agency. You could pay big bucks and probably get assigned. If you're a small business, you're going to get assigned a junior team. I worked for these agencies before, and we used the smaller businesses as a training ground for our talent. That's just the reality of the situation. They're guided by the senior talent, but mainly it's the junior team. Or you could try and do it yourself through tools like Canva, which could be really strong tools. Or you could hire a freelance designer and hope that they magically help you stand out with, whatever inputs that you're giving them. But the new way is what I'm going to share with you today. And I'm going to give you all of the framework, all of the steps in the process that's going to allow you to message better, ensure that you're getting in front of the right people, and hopefully, if you do it right, get higher revenue, improve your customer acquisition costs. So if you're, doing any sort of like paid advertising, that sort of thing, that cost to acquire a customer should trend down. The customer loyalty and lifetime value of the customers will go up, and it's going to give you the ability to charge premium prices. Does that all make sense to everybody? Cool. Couple of myths before we get into it. Branding is just for the big companies, the Nikes of the world, the Amazons of the world, Apples. But, I'm telling you right now, like, if you're small, clarity is not just an asset, but it becomes your unfair advantage. The next myth is branding is expensive, and it used to be. When we do this work for our clients, we charge a decent amount of money. I mean, in upwards of 40 grand, because it takes a lot of time and effort to get this done. But the system that we've built allows us to train you on how to do this. And it, with minimum time from us, and you get the same clarity without the 5 and 6 figure agency pricing. The other myth is that branding is just your visuals, right? Like your outward facing identity, logos, colors, that sort of thing, which are all really, really important, but it should be rooted in the positioning. And design without positioning is really just expensive decoration. So if you get it right, you can build a brand that is going to help you, it's going to be the foundation to help you build your empire. It's going to help you build the business that you are dreaming of. When you think of what am I, if I'm looking back on this thing 10 years from now, what would have had to happen in those 10 years to make me feel like I was successful? This gives you the foundation to start building that business. So speaking of businesses, I want to take you through kind of the 3 key areas in where your positioning, your brand, will help you. And the first one, and this is probably the one that everybody thinks about, it's all of your marketing efforts. It's your buyer journey. It's your marketing funnels that you have set up. How do you get awareness? How do you get people, attract people into your world and eventually lead them to the sale? This is your sales conversation. It might be a consultation. But this is that first point of contact that you have with your customers where you're really digging in and you're figuring out, like, is this a person that I can uniquely help? If not, can I send them somewhere else? But it's that sales conversation. And then the third stool, and this is one that people often don't necessarily think about when it comes to brand, is the customer journey. So, what are all those things that we put into place after they become your customer? And how do we how do we communicate with them? How do we treat them when maybe things go wrong or there's a problem on the job site or something? Or, how do we treat them when they're experiencing some successes? The reality is that your brand should surround and be the through line in each one of these 3 areas of the business. And if you're making promises that are speaking to people here, you need to back them up in the sales conversation. You got to have that continuity. And then you're fulfilling the promises that you made in your marketing and in your sale in the customer journey after they become a customer. Now, when you get this right, and you do this consistently over a long period of time, you're going to create massive amounts of trust. And it's that trust that is going to give you the loyal customer base that you're looking for. So repeat customers, they're also going to be your raving fans. So they're going to start to talk about you to people. So, maybe when they say, they're having coffee with a friend and the friend's like, hey, were you happy with your design partner for whatever project that was? They're going to be like, oh my gosh, yes. And they're going to start just, glowing and telling the story about the experience that they had with you because they were a right fit customer for you. That's going to help give you more qualified leads via an army of your past customers, which is the best, right? Because we all like a good referral. And so in order to get that clarity, we've outlined 9 steps. And we call it the Brand Lab method. It's you have to follow these steps in order. One builds on top of the other. And I'll take you through them in detail right now. These are all the things that you could be doing right now. And really, when we get off this call, you could put it to work for you. You can start to go through these steps. But really, the goal is to take you from blending in with that sea of sameness, all of the competition, the noise, and helping you stand out to the people that matter to you. Okay. Everybody with me so far? Yeah, cool. All right.
Wait. Can you go back 2 screens to one more? Right there. No, go ahead one. Right there. Hold on one second.
Yep.
I take notes for the meeting, so I'm doing that. So thank
Cool. Yeah, no problem. We'll send out a recording of this too to everybody. So
Oh,
you
wonderful.
have it after the fact. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right. This is not theory. So the reason why a lot of the branding advice that exists out there is because it hasn't been tested. It's not necessarily true. There's might be skipping steps in the process. I can tell you that everything I'm going to take you through right now is not theory. It's been proven over the last 20 years and built on, we're building on the successes over time in order to get this to work. And so there's really 3 phases to the Brand Lab method and 9 steps. The 3 phases: discover, develop, declare. Declare, deployment. I keep wrestling with the two. Right now it's declare. Just to keep the alliteration going because I'm a sucker for alliteration. But in Discover, we're taking you from being unclear in your marketplace to having absolute clarity there. When we develop your positioning, we're going from being the same as everybody else to being very, very different to the people that matter. And in the declare phase, we go from having disengaged audience to really, you're saying the right things, you're getting noticed by those folks that matter, and therefore they become engaged with you, whether that's a sales conversation or they're just, getting onto your social media or that sort of thing. So each step individually, here's how you do it. In the discovery phase, this is like traditionally research and discovery, okay? But we really want to research 3 key areas. And it's really important that we start with the competitors. So we want to analyze your direct competitors and sometimes indirect competitors. Who are those folks that are vying for the same eyeballs that you are? Who are those people that might be getting noticed above you to the folks that matter to you? More importantly, what gaps are they leaving in the marketplace? The next thing is you got to discover what your strengths are. A lot of the times you can do this. We instruct our members to go through a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, because this is going to give you, and you can look up how to do that, but this is going to give you all of the information that you need to understand, like, what are our strengths? What are the things that we do extremely well? And compare that against the competitors' gaps that they're leaving in the marketplace and be able to identify those things that make us different. So the competitors are leaving holes. We can fill those with the things that we do exceptionally well. The third leg to this stool is we must develop our ideal client profile. Some call this like a target audience. I like referring to this as a profile because that's exactly what we're doing. Like, we're building a personality based on the type of people that we want to work with. And spoiler alert, it's based on the happiest customers that you've serviced in the past. Because there's something in that relationship that we did really, really well that we can build on. And we have to identify what those things are. You might know them right off the bat. Or, you might be wondering, like, that person was really happy. There were no bumps in the road. Like, everything went super smooth with this project. And you might be asking yourself, like, why is that? We want to replicate those projects and those customers. Now, more importantly, I'm spending a little bit more time on this one because this is probably the most important step that you can take in the brand positioning process, is identifying who your customer is. But more importantly, we want to know what are their wants, needs, aspirations? What's going to make them feel like it was successful working with you? And on the flip side, what are their fears, pains, and frustrations? What's the perception of working with an interior designer? What are those perceived frustrations, or what were they frustrated with in the past, or past interior design projects that they had? What do they fear going into the next one? Oh, my budget is going to be blown. I went through this last time. Like, what are those core things that they're thinking about, that we can recognize and then start to use as our advantage, or to our advantage? How we do that is by knowing our strengths. Well, if you know your ICP, and the first thing that they're going to be thinking about is the pain, being displaced from their home, if it's a whole home project or something like that, then you can address that head on, right? So that's discovery. Then we need to take this and make it actionable. What are the things that we can do, the tools, that come out of the discovery, to really make this useful? And this is where we build our positioning. We start with defining your differences based on your strengths, based on the gaps that are left in the marketplace and the needs of our customers from the research and discovery. We can write out the 3 to 5 things that we can own. People like working with me because of XYZ. Those things that are uniquely yours. It could be that, maybe you're the only interior designer that specializes in basements. I don't know. Here in Michigan, there's lots of basements that get finished. Or something else. But like, we have to define those so that we can explain that to our ideal customer profile. And also sort of bridge, that with their, if you think about it in your messaging, like the things that you're putting out on social media, paid advertising, that sort of thing. Like, how can we recognize what our differences are and position them as solves for our ICP's fears, pains, and frustrations? Okay. The next step in the development process is we have to establish a personality. Now, the reason is, and it could be based on you and your working style. If you have a team, it's going to be more company based. But our people up here, our ICP, connect better with people. So we want to humanize the brand. How do we come to market? How do we show up consistently day in and day out? What can they expect from us, in like as like a personality trait? Like, think about if you were out to coffee with your best friend and you're going to set them up on a blind date, how would you describe that person? Well, we're going to do the same for our company, but we're going to do that on the findings from our ICP. So if we can understand the demographics and the psychographics of our ICP, and we can use that to establish our brand's personality, what we're doing is mirroring their personality. By mirroring, we're creating familiarity. So we're speaking the same language. We have the same mannerisms. We're presenting ourselves in the same way. Therefore, it lowers the barriers to entry to us. We seem a little bit more familiar to the ICP. And then we have everything that we need to properly position the brand. And this is really cool because I instruct everybody to sort of think about this in terms of, if we're to write an only statement. And what I mean by that is, we are the only interior design company that does X for Y people so that they can achieve X. if you can properly fill out that sentence, then you've really, what you've done is you've defined your competitive advantage. Cool. Everybody still with me? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. All right. And then finally, we have the declare stage. So in declare, this is how do we present ourselves in the market? What goes into our marketing? What is our story? How do we tell our brand story to the folks that matter? What's our purpose? And that's really the first thing that we do here is we define our purpose. Is everybody familiar with Simon Sinek? Yes,
Yes.
no, kind of, yeah. This follows his golden circle framework. So one, what is our why? Is the why, what, how of the business. Really focusing in on what is our why, what's our purpose. I set up here that we humanize the brand because people connect better with people. People connect better with people with purpose. So if you can create some I told you I like alliteration, but if you can create some alignments there and people understand the purpose, they can connect with your purpose, they're more than likely to either trust or take the next step with you, which might be, just getting in contact, getting on your email list, whatever that may be. So we outline our golden circle. Now we have everything that we need to write our brand story. It follows the heroes framework. Do we all know the heroes framework? No.
No.
Do some research on it. It's a pretty common framework for storytelling. One of the most popular examples is Star Wars. We're all familiar with Star Wars, right? And the heroes framework, the hero in that instance is Luke Skywalker, of course. But the framework goes like this. Hero is identified. He's pulled from his everyday life. He refuses. He gets pulled back into it, goes on a journey along with a guide, and comes back a changed person. That's the basis for the story. Basically, all movies kind of tell the same thing. I just came across the hero statement through ChatGPT as we have been working on our brand. Cool. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty popular. Story brand is built on the heroes framework. So it's in the conversation right now. It's a good conversation. The hero in the story is your customer. You position yourself as the guide, and then you can tell that story, and then it gives you everything that you need to market yourself in a way that's going to speak directly to your ICP. Okay. And the last step is probably the easiest. Then we have to document it. All of this information must live in a central place for a couple of reasons. The first one is if you have a team or you plan on having a team, or you're going to hire a freelance agency or social media marketers, or anybody that's going to sort of inform the market about your brand, they need to be trained. Your employees need to be trained on the brand. Anybody who's going to be customer facing needs to know how to show up and properly represent the company, the business that you're building. So that's number one. Number two is this should be a living, breathing document. So twice a year, every 12 months, we should be revisiting and making sure that market conditions aren't causing us to change the brand in one way or the other, or that everything that we've developed today still holds true, 2 years from now. And lots can change in 2 years. And so I instruct people every 6 months, every 12 months, just go through this exercise, validate that everything is still true, make changes where necessary. They shouldn't be wide sweeping changes. Brands are built over time, and it's small incremental changes that are going to help you with the longevity of your brand. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
This could take the form of a Google slide deck, right? That's basically what we do is we have our members put together their slide presentation, and that's where it lives. It could be something else. I don't know, but it just has to be documented somewhere. So that's it. If we go through all of these steps, then we're going to lift ourselves out of that sea of sameness. We're going to get noticed by the folks that matter, and we're going to have a competitive advantage. And by doing so, it allows us to gain, get the higher revenue, increase our revenue year over year, improve our customer acquisition costs. Your customer loyalty and lifetime value is going to start to go up, and it's going to give you the ability to raise your prices because you have that competitive advantage, you have your differentiators, and all of that leads to value and you being able to articulate the worth that you bring to your customers. So I've kept this one in here. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep this slide in here. But when we talk about like all of the things that we develop, the document that we put together, those become all of the inputs that you need, not just for agency partners, writers, designers, that sort of thing, but it also allows you to use AI in a way that is responsible. So AI could be our greatest enemy in the fact that it's making this really noisy market. It can also be a friend to us because if we have the right inputs, if we're informing it, if we're giving it the right if we're asking it the right questions with clarity to whom, in giving it the inputs like tone of voice, then it's going to give us better content. So it could be social media content, it could be blog posts, but it allows you to use AI to sort of build a marketing team around you and help you feed that content beast that, if you're a small business owner, that you have to feed it and sometimes could feel like a chore. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sweet. Okay. So, before I get into your questions, I'm going to briefly tell the story of Joe Smith from Crow's Nest Cooperage because it sort of brings everything together. And I'm going to tell it really quickly because it's 1:43 and I want to get to your questions. The gist of it is this. Joe was leaving his marketing job. He was in corporate marketing for, it was something like 10 years or so. It was a little less than that. But anyway, for some time he was miserable. That's not what he wanted to do. He came to me and he's like, listen, I got this idea. I'm going to create barrels. I've been creating barrels on my spare time. I want to make a legitimate business out of it. I think I can do it and sell them to the micro distilling industry. I said, cool. I started asking him all the questions. Who are your competitors? His answers to that were really telling. He goes, well, there's really 3, maybe 4 or 5 competitors that are out there. They're large factories that are just churning out all of these barrels for the whiskey industry. They're all the same, basically. You can get char 1, level 2, and 3. Salesman, calls up distiller. How many barrels do you want this year? Takes the order, and then they're off to the races, right? There's no difference there. He goes, but I can tell you, when we started talking about him, it's like, well, what strengths do you bring to the market? How do you think you can compete with these guys? He goes, well, you can manipulate the barrel in ways that are going to inform the flavor of any bourbon. So for all of you that maybe drink bourbon, you probably know this. If you don't, bourbons have to be made essentially with the same ingredients. It all comes out of the still as clear liquid. And most of the flavor, 85% of a bourbon's flavor comes from the barrel that it sits in. All of its coloring comes from the barrel that it sits in. The type of wood, how long it's been aged, and what field in Missouri, because apparently all the wood comes from a field in Missouri. But how long it's been sitting in that field and soaking up the enzymes and, letting nature do its job. He goes, all of that stuff leads into the flavor profiles of the whiskey. He's like, I understand that barrel science. He goes, and then when you fire it, instead of like a char 1, 2, and 3, I can toast the barrel first, which is going to bring forth, like vanilla notes. And he's telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing, and so we kept going on, and to not belabor the point here, basically what we decided was, well, one, the customers that are buying your barrels are the micro distillers. They have to compete with the big guys that are out there. And in order to do so, they have to win awards. Winning awards for the micro distillers is one of their main marketing tools. That's how they get their production stuff on shelves. You can help inform that by creating the main ingredient, which is the barrel, and you can work with the distillers in a more consultative way to help them achieve the flavor profiles that are going to get them the awards that they desperately need. He's like, yeah. So that was the brand that we built. It's been 8, 9 years now. He sells out every year. He doesn't want to grow beyond himself. He works out of a 200-year-old apple barn here in Michigan, which is pretty cool to go to. It always smells amazing. And he's really successful, but only because he was able to identify the right people. He was able to say, you've got this fear that you're going to put a whiskey out there, it's not going to win awards, and you're not going to be able to stock store shelves or get noticed by the folks that matter. Use that in his very direct marketing and messaging, not just social media, but on his email list, on his blog posts. The message comes up in interviews that he has for local TV stations and trade pubs and all of that stuff. And so it's him using his brand to get in front of the right people, and it makes them successful in the end. And, really he says, look, Witten Craft didn't just help me build my brand. They helped me transform my business. I never make any decisions without considering how it will further the Crow's Nest brand. Cool aside here, a couple of years ago, he was offered a considerable sum of money for his business. And he was wrestling with whether he should sell or not. And he's at the end, he's like, the partner wouldn't have been good for the brand, so I turned it down. I was like, oh, that speaks loads about, how a brand can help you make business decisions. Drew, who is an architect, she says, I thought branding was just a website and some Instagram posts. Now I confidently lead with my value and charge accordingly. She was struggling with not being able to charge what her worth was. And we were able to clear that up with her brand. And Kira, who's here on this call, you all know, she says, I thought I was learning how to tell my brand story. What I didn't realize was that I was getting a more comprehensive marketing branding playbook. And that's what positioning can do for you. And so this is my not so hidden agenda. If you want to further the discussion, you can scan this QR code. We'll send out a link after the fact too. This goes right to my booking calendar. You can schedule 30 minutes with me, and we can really dig deep into your business and where you're struggling. And I can show you how brand might be able to help you there, and really how the Brand Lab could help you if you're interested. And with that, I'd love to answer any questions that you guys have.
I jumped on the call a little bit later. What's the difference between Witten Craft and the Brand Lab?
Yep. Witten Craft is the parent company, if you will, and the Brand Lab is basically our group, our community that we've set up. We call it the Brand Lab Collective. It's a community that we have set up that has our curriculum. It has group coaching calls. So it's our one-to-many service for branding.
Got it.
It's all a part of Witten Craft.
Okay.
Yep.
Who of your clients would, how would you decide if they would be under Wittencraft or Brand Lab Cooperative?
Yeah, so it's really about small, the Brand Lab Collective is about small businesses and supporting small businesses. So up until now, at least I wasn't aware of an agency that could that could survive just serving the small business community. The way that we're able to do that, and when I say small businesses, I'm going to say 10 million and below in annual revenue. The 10 million is probably a little high. But most of our clients are coming in and they're somewhere 2 million and below, if that helps put some definition in there.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a couple questions.
but
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you can finish. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. Go. I think I was done. I mean, which is basically set up for the small business community.
Got it.
Well, hi, I'm Sarita. I also joined a few minutes late. First, I'm super impressed. This is very inspiring and really good stuff. I have two questions. One is, if you're working, would you collaborate or, I have a marketing person and manager, but like we both could use a push to like take it to the next level. So would this method work for someone like me who has done, a strategy, but I'm ready to redo, refresh, or rebrands? In other words, is that okay that there would be also a marketing person involved in what you do?
Yeah, 100%. So branding is only successful if all of the stakeholders are a part of the process. So,
Okay.
if if you're a solopreneur and it's just you, fine. If you have a co-founder, if you have a marketing director, marketing manager type person, if you have a graphic designer that's going to be a part of the process, bring them in. It's really important. And so we open the Brand Lab up to everybody on your team. So everybody would get access. You tell me who you need on there and we'll put them in there.
Okay, fantastic. And then my second question is, you mentioned earlier, for your full service clients around 40 grand. Can you just break that down? Or, what is that? What does someone get? Is that a full strategy, like marketing strategy? And how is that different than what you're offering here? If you're open to sharing prices, I don't know if you want to have that separately with each person or
No, I'm open to sharing.
Okay.
And so your question was, what do you get out of the Brand Foundations product is what we call our full service in comparison to the Brand Lab.
Yeah.
So for the $40,000 in Brand Foundations, it's all of the strategy work plus the design work. And what you get out of that is a full design system built on the brand strategy, brand positioning. But it's us doing all of that work for you.
Okay.
The big difference is you're only focused on the positioning portion in the Brand Lab, which ultimately leads to some design discussions. But the outcome of that is just the positioning.
Got it.
So all the stuff that's going to inform everything else. The pricing for the Brand Lab, we try and keep it really simple. We want to keep it very accessible to small businesses. We're still pretty young in launching the Brand Lab. And so, you get everything, that you get with Brand Foundations, but we only charge $2,000 for it. That's $500 a month. And then some people for 4 months, we require you sign up for at least 4 months. After that, if you still need to be a part of the program, if you're getting a lot of value, you stay in and it just goes to $500 month over month rolling until you tell us to stop.
Okay, great. So it's 4 months from start to finish, and then you can continue if you want more support.
If you're a rock star like Kira, you're going to get through it in 3.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Let me ask, I was a little distracted with some urgency and business stuff here, but
Yeah.
I want to clarify on Sarita's. Can you again, and I'm pretty sure you might have said this, but I didn't get it.
Yeah, no problem.
What's happening every month in this program? What are we doing? What are the modules? What are the things that are happening then?
Yeah. Yep. No problem. So the 9 steps that I took you through are split up into the 3 modules, which are discover, develop, and declare. That's what we base the curriculum. The curriculum is all pre-recorded lessons, for lack of better words, me showing you the framework, how to properly do it. There are worksheets that are involved with that too to guide you through the process. We've also developed some pretty slick custom GPTs that are going to help you when in between calls. So we get together once a week for an hour in a group setting to help you get unstuck of wherever you're at in the process. In between those calls, you can consult with the custom GPTs to help you. So it's basically one is Brandy, who's trained on the full curriculum. She's there to be me when I'm not available. So she can answer any questions no matter what phase that you're in. We also have Blair. I like to name my GPTs because I don't know. I feel like I need to humanize the robots. That's a me thing, I think. But we also have Blair, who's there to help you through like the competitive analysis. So based on the web presence of your competitors, he's going to be able to scrub, that stuff and understand like what their brand positioning is. And then our third one that we have is Frankie, who's our ICP pain finder. So if you're struggling with how is our ICP, struggling to articulate their pain points, their fears, pains, and frustrations, this is the GPT that's going to help you do that. We also have a lot of prompts for AI to help you through the process as well. So we just try to make it as easy as possible, but working with AI as responsible as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Impressive.
Yeah, no problem.
Wow.
Any other questions? I can't believe I got through
Yeah.
this in the same amount in the right amount of time here. Mark, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I'm kind of asking a similar question, but I just want to understand the
Yeah.
kind of the framework here. So if you were to sign up, it's kind of a 4-month minimum, and you work through these the 3 phases, and you
Mhm.
kind of work. You get the module, you get some videos that kind of step you through it. And then you work on your own, and then once a week you get together with a collective group to answer any questions you may have. Is that more or less the format? Just want to make
That's
sure.
exactly the format.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that helps. Thanks.
So
Yeah,
I'm
no problem.
confused. During that once a week, what happens during that? Is that a call?
It's a question and answer call. Yep, it's Zoom. It's set up just like this.
Okay.
Anybody who, I suggest that everybody, if you can make it, make the call because we have some really good discussions about brand positioning, any problems that you're facing there. The purpose is for me to help you get unstuck. We also have a community page, which I probably should have mentioned too. That's where the curriculum is housed, where you can ask questions all throughout the week too. And Taylor, who's also on this call, is monitoring that. I monitor it every day, and if there are questions, we get on there and make sure we answer them to the best of our ability.
So who's on this call? I'm still not clear on that. I'm sorry.
Yep, Brain Lab Collective members.
Oh,
So anybody who has signed up for the service comes onto the call who is actively going through the curriculum.
mhm.
And I'm sure it varies with participation, but how many people are on the average weekly call?
Well, we're pretty young. So right now on average, we have like 2. There
Oh,
could
okay.
be 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, no, man,
That's actually
that's a
preferable.
good thing in a way,
Yeah.
yeah, because you're getting more one-on-one attention. I didn't know if it might be 20 or, or 10 or, okay.
We hope in the future to grow this to be, to have like 20 people on the calls consistently. In which case, when we get there, we'll probably make the call a little bit longer so we can get to everybody's questions. But as it is right now, the Brand Lab is in its infancy. We're getting going right now. So the calls are pretty light with attendees.
Are the people that are on each call weekly in the same group of doing the 1, 2, 3, or the 4, 5, 6, or the 7, 8, 9 of the steps, or are they mixed?
Yep.
Good question.
It's a great question. We are not cohort based. So everybody, could be, as it turns out right now, everybody is at a very similar spot in the process, which has been really good. We've had it at times where some folks are at the end of the process while we have new people coming in. And the benefit is really in the community there. So we can build off of the more experienced experiences to, for the community to help the community.
Okay.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it's mixed. I mean, I just was curious
Yeah,
if you're in
it's
the
mixed. Yep.
if you're in the 1, 2, 3, is there going to be people in the because it determines what kind of questions get asked and things like that. So, but your answer was great.
Yeah. Yep. What I like about it, with everybody being at different points in the process, is one, if you're brand new coming in, it gives you a little bit of vision into the future, what you can expect. If you've been around for a while, you have a unique experience that's really valuable for the other community members. I want to make sure that we're sharing that too.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any opportunity to get individual help?
So there is, we have a one-on-one offer
Mhm.
that, and actually Reed Lambright was our first really one-on-one, and we take that on too. So happy to discuss what a one-on-one option would look like for you on a call if you schedule a call with me.
Okay.
Last question, maybe not the last question on
Yeah, no worries.
these calls. You or someone from Wit and Craft will be there in that call too, is right?
Yep,
Moderating.
it's me.
Okay.
Me and Taylor are the ones on the call. Taylor is just making sure that all the questions that were posed in the community are getting answered on the call, monitoring the chat, just kind of keeping up with things. And I'm there to be the expert there, to be the expert for you.
What would you say is the level of effort and sort of in terms of the amount of time your average person needs to be investing, say per week on a weekly basis to make it, to have them get what they need out of it?
No, it's a great question. I would say 5 hours a week minimum is probably where you want to be. You could do more than that, and that would be okay. The reason I say 5 hours a week is, if you can carve out an hour a day, that would be great. If you could say, Fridays are going to be my Brand Lab day, and I'm just going to work, every Friday on Brand Lab, that's also good. It just depends on your working style. If you do 5 hours, I'm pretty confident you're going to get through this in the 4 months. If you do more, you're probably going to work through the curriculum a little bit sooner.
This is going to sound like a strange question, but if someone is
There are no strange questions.
well, okay. If someone is just in 2025 finished doing a rebranding, do you ever take a look over somebody's shoulder and say, "Oh, we think you did a good job," or "You did a bad job," or do you ever review it with your 9 steps in mind? Or
yeah, always. Yeah. I mean, they just, will help me. Are you looking to validate work that has recently been done?
Yeah, I just finished doing pretty much what you are outlining.
You did.
Yeah, and my new website is going out in the
cool.
first
Well,
quarter.
congratulations for one, because that's huge.
Let's hope I did all your 9 steps. But anyway. So I'd just be curious. And I was interested in you had a one of your steps somewhere I saw was implementing. It was like how to implement. It sounded like it was implementing it to your clients. It was like, I don't know, maybe I didn't. Anyway, I'm not maybe articulating those words correctly.
Yeah.
It was at the very beginning of the whole presentation. So sorry about that.
Very beginning. Very beginning.
It's all right.
Go ahead.
Don't have to do this here. I don't want to take up everybody else's time.
No worries. So I just want to be really clear. the implementation is going to come from you going through the program. So we're not doing any of the implementation throughout this. We're guiding you through the process.
Yeah, no, okay,
Yep,
sorry. I'm not articulating it correctly. It's all right. My
no
apologies.
worries. If you if it comes to you or whatever, just send me an email and we'll get to the bottom
Okay.
or schedule a call. I'd be happy to spend some time with
You're
you.
going to send us this video, right? The Zoom call.
It'll either come to you tomorrow or the next day.
Okay, thank you.
Do
Yeah,
we
no
have
problem.
time, if Kira's still here, do we have time for her to share anything? Like what, I mean, she wrote how wonderful the experience was, but I'm just kind of curious, like, what did it lead? Did it lead to a new website design? Like, I don't know, maybe some highlights or like, if there's time, if she's here.
Kira.
Kira
I
did
see
talk
her
about it
here.
at the I think it was at the December meeting.
I
Yeah,
missed
but
it.
I think some of us were, I came in late and I know Sarita, I don't think was present. And so I think it would be helpful for me to hear. I heard the tail end.
Yeah. Kira, are you on the call? I don't know if she's on.
Yes, I'm
In the
here.
chat,
Oh,
she
there you
says
are.
she's here. Yep, there.
Okay.
I'm here. Well, I worry because I can talk too much about this, and possibly go off on tangents. I guess I would say that if I'm thinking about it in terms of like the three modules and the things that were popping out as everyone was asking questions and John was answering, like the 5 hours a week sounds right. But it's like not 5 solid straight hours, and it really doesn't feel like 5 hours. The meetings are on Thursday, and I spent about an hour before the meeting, time during the meeting, and then an hour or so after the meeting doing the bulk of the work that I was doing. That's just kind of how my brain is set up to like work close to the deadline. But I did spend time, in the evenings, like 30 minutes or an hour or so going over the module. The way the modules are set up, they're really easy to follow and do in small chunks. I took the work and this is to kind of get into the Frankie and Blair and working with ChatGPT. I would watch the coursework and then I would go through and watch the coursework again and take notes. And then I would go through and do the exercises that were outlined in each, as appropriate in each section, as there was work to do that correlated to what you were learning through the module. And then I would take that work when I had completed it, and I would run that through ChatGPT to see what the result was through ChatGPT. And then inevitably, I would then take that work to the Thursday meeting and talk that through with John and Taylor and make sure I was like heading in the right track and kind of let them know where I was at and if I was make sure I was staying on the right path and I was synthesizing everything the way I was meant to be.
Hey,
And that's
Kira.
pretty much, yes.
Kira, could you maybe shed some light on like how your business has changed for you? Maybe how it's changed the way that you look at your business now versus before you starting the Brand Lab?
Oh gosh. I would say that it's allowed me to what I'm trying to think of like at the end when we were talking it through and what the feedback I was giving. I really felt like I not only was able to tell my brand story and the story of my business and to pinpoint my ideal client and really target communications for those clients. But it also had me look inward at the way I was just performing my work. And this could be specific to the way my business, I think there is like there was an interconnection to these two concepts, but I would say that at the end, I went through and I think this would resonate with the group because we all started with the 15 steps. which is a whole other thing, John, that I think I talked to you a little bit about, the Kimberly Seldon thing. But I took those 15 steps and just completely reworked that concept into a model that fit me. And I actually wound up copying the Brand Lab model, which was the 1, 2, 3, and then the threes within the threes, so the 9 steps, and really creating my business around the 9 steps, and also then learning how to communicate that 9 steps to my ideal client. So if I was saying my ideal client is someone that is new to working with an interior designer, I really doubled down on making sure my process was tight and I was articulating it well, and I was making it really clear to my client up front. And it's totally changed the way I do business, because creating that framework for my client really made me focus on how I did things and tighten that up in a way that made sense.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody, I unfortunately have to go. I got to get to my next one here in about 4 minutes. But seriously, I'd love to answer any other questions that you have, really talk about your business. So, if you are interested, feel free to book a call with me via this QR code, or we'll send a link, with the recording of this video too. Kira, thank you so much for setting this up. This has been really great for me, and it's been great for me to be able to talk about this in front of all of you. So I appreciate your time and
It was
and
impressive.
your
Thank
interest
you.
in the Brand Lab.
Very good. Thank
Thanks.
you so much.
Yeah, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
This is great.
Thanks.
Bye.
And if
Thank you.
anybody wants to talk about this at our next regular meeting, I'll do my best to be there, and I can, answer any additional questions if anyone has any.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.